So it's all yours, Amber. Let's go.
Fantastic. Well, good evening, everyone. My name is Amber Raney Kincade. You can tell by the accent that I am not originally from the UK. I was born in Texas, and I've lived in London now for about 20 years. I wear two hats in the world. I'm a marketing consultant. I teach marketing and social media. I teach people how to do basic social media, get them started online. The other hat that I wear is I am a tour guide. So I am American tour guide in London, and I am an official badge guide of the City of London, the City of Westminster, the Borough of Camden, and St. Paul's Cathedral. I always say, so if you need to know anything about London, I'm your girl. But of course, you're all city files, so you will know quite a lot about the city as well. So that's really great. It's nice to be in good company when it comes to that. So my first hat that I wear is I am a marketing consultant. I have a master's in international marketing, and it's kind of what brought me over to the UK. I moved over here and did my MBA here, then moved back to the States for a while, and then came back. And I've worked in sports marketing, student marketing, all kinds of different industries and things, including football and alcohol and fast-moving consumer goods and that kind of thing. So my favorite thing, though, is so in 2009, when the recession hit, I started teaching small little sessions on social media, particularly because at that time people were getting made redundant, they were starting their own businesses, and they wanted to know how to harness the power of social media to help them promote their business. So I started teaching that, and I came up with wonderful classes like Twitter for extreme beginners, and you have a Twitter account, now what? And so it's very basic stuff. So I'm excited that Paul reached out to, via a mutual friend. We know each other, and it was really great to hear that you wanted to learn a little bit more about Twitter. So that is exactly what we are going to do today. So I'll be sharing my screen with you, and I'll go through. I've got a combination of slides that I want to show you, and also we'll be going live on Twitter. I'll be showing you what Twitter looks like live. So it would be really great if you want to watch what I do, and then if you want to maybe have a question or whatnot, like I said, feel free to unmute. There's only, I guess, about 11 or 12 of you, so we can manage that, not 60, that would have been a little crazy, everybody raising their hands. But happy to engage any questions that you might have, particularly as we go along and go through. If you if I don't hear your question or whatever, it's okay if you want to interrupt me. I'm pretty easy. And Paul, I'll have you keep me on time wise.
You're fine. Don't worry.
Okay, good. So we'll go ahead and we'll get cracking. So the thing about Twitter is that Twitter is a social media platform, and it was, let me get through my introduction. So, a little bit more about me. In addition to being a tour guide, I dress up as Mary Poppins and Guy Fawkes and Jane Austen, and I do crazy tours around London, that sort of thing. And I use social media to promote my business. So I'm all over it. I'm on LinkedIn, Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, Pinterest, YouTube, Snapchat, WhatsApp, Viber, TikTok. That's at least 10 that I'm on, and a few others as well that I'm occasionally dropping into and using it for social media. And I've taught other organizations how to use social media for promoting their business. Just to kind of give everybody a basic of where we are, I always like to start at the basics. On social media, there are 4 things that we do. We publish content, so we take content, and when I say content, I'm saying a tweet, a photo, a video, a recipe, an article, and we put it onto social media. From there, people take that content, whatever it might be, and they share it with their friends and their followers. So they take it and they distribute it on our behalf. They are the ketchup, the French fry to our ketchup, or the chip to our ketchup. Then we have the comments, and that's where everybody's doing discussing. So somebody will put something up and people will comment on it, and that's the discussion side of things. And then finally, it's the networking. And the networking side of things is where we're meeting people, we're coming across ideas, events, organizations, things we would have never come across in our daily walk of life. So that's where the power of social media can really come into play. Twitter itself was launched in March of 2006, and it really took off in July of that year. So in the United States, this big place down here is Texas, that's where I'm from, and there's a music festival called South by Southwest. And people were using Twitter at South by Southwest in order to discuss things that were happening at this music festival. It was in a place called Austin. Austin is the state capital, and it's kind of like if you took Camden and Shoreditch and squished them together. Okay, it's a really cool place. So people were tweeting and going, oh, hey, check out this venue, or look, this band is over here. And that's really where it took off as a real-time communications tool. It is founded by Jack Dorsey and some of his friends, and their revenue in 2019 was $3.46 billion. So it is not owned by Facebook. Facebook, of course, is Mark Zuckerberg, and they own Facebook, WhatsApp, Messenger, Instagram, and a few other things. But Twitter is not owned by the Facebook conglomerate. And if you want to know who Jack Dorsey is, this is the shaggy guy that started Twitter, and he still is the CEO and owns it as well. If we go back to basics and we think about, you know, the general store or the post office or the pub, you know, a place where communities back in the day used to come and gather and discuss things, gossip, spread news, these sorts of things. Well, this is kind of like what Twitter started out as a place where people could tweet and have a little conversation. Think of it like a little cocktail party. You kind of go to a cocktail party, or maybe go to a event, and you kind of flutter in between. And, oh, hello, how are you? Lovely dress you're wearing. Oh, very nice. Oh, hello, good to see you. I haven't seen you in a while. A bit like what we've been doing just now before we started the session. Everybody's chatting and having a little conversation. And so Twitter is pretty much like that. But of course, as all things do, Twitter has evolved. The platform has become much more than just a place to have a little conversation. You can connect with people. You can engage with clients. You can keep up with news. You can see what's trending, what's going on, what people are talking about. You can see that you can communicate with someone privately via Twitter, and therefore you don't necessarily need to have their email address. You don't need to have their phone number. You can just tweet to them, and then you can private message them on the platform and talk to them privately. You can promote your business there, and you have the ability to go global because Twitter is all over the place. Questions so far? We're doing okay? Excellent. So a lot of people ask me, what's the difference between Facebook and Twitter? I like to think of the social media platforms as like islands, okay? Every island is different, yeah? If you go to Greece, you know, and then if you go to Corfu, and then you go to Fuerteventura, these are all different islands with different foods and different cultures and all sorts of different things. So Facebook and Twitter have similar functionality, but they have different audiences and different ways that they do things, okay? So both of them would be considered a business to customer, but Twitter has usually been more of a business to business environment as well as business to customer. They're both great for raising your profile, increasing your search engine optimization, which means when somebody Googles you, you know, seeing you float to the top and having that, creating an audience, having a one-to-one conversation with a client, keeping up with news and industry. And they both have the ability to promote and put ads and, you know, promote a tweet and get your message out further. So, but they're a little different in that they have different audiences and different languages that they speak. For example, what we'll learn a little later is that Twitter loves the hashtag. Facebook, not so much, okay? So when I talk to people about getting on Twitter, especially when it comes to things like a business, people ask me, oh, do I need to be on Twitter? And I always say, well, do you need to be there at all? Is your audience there? Because that's the most important any social media platform. If you're doing it for a business, is your audience on Twitter? And if not, if you just want to be on Twitter just to see what all the hype's about, that's fine. You can come onto Twitter for personal use. So there's a lot of stats out there about Twitter, and I won't spend too much time on these because we have a little bit of time, but lots and lots of people, 330 million monthly active users. People are using this quite a bit. It's incredibly useful, especially on mobile phones, and 20% of the usage is from North America. We have about 65% are male, and about the rest of it as female. However, the new stats are coming out with non-binary, so they don't really have the stats on those, or they're not sharing those with us just yet. And as far as the leading countries, US, of course, has taken it up. Japan, the United Kingdom comes in at number 5 for the countries using Twitter. So it's an incredibly famous and used platform across the world. I know most recently, Donald Trump has been very much associated with Twitter, and sometimes it's very hard to teach a Twitter class now without discussing his use of Twitter. We'll try to stay away from that as much as possible, but it is interesting how politicians have changed the use of social media. Before, it was more of a monitoring situation, whereas now, sometimes they communicate their policy via there. So. There's lots of different reasons to use Twitter, and you can use it for all sorts of things like learning learning about new products and services, getting customer assistance. How many of you want to pick up the phone and call BT and complain about something? No, but if you go and tweet them, you'll get an answer very quickly, because they actually have people monitoring their social media now instead of the phone lines, because you'll just go through an automated labyrinth, or maybe get a call center somewhere. Whereas on Twitter, you can sometimes get to a live person if you have a real issue that you want to complain about.
I had the experience with a bank, and I made a complaint on Twitter or the bank, and for the first time I got a response within 5 minutes, whereas I'd spent hours trying to get through.
Exactly. I had a lady take my Twitter for beginners class, and she said, you can contact a company? And she contacted that she bought a bed, and it's like a big piece had been missing. And she noticed that all these other people had been complaining too, and they were getting responses. She complained, she got a full refund and got to keep the bed. So there you go. So Twitter can be very useful. It's also fun if you're going to go shopping or going to buy something, have a look on Twitter to see if there is a coupon code that you can type in. I got 25% off when my husband, one year for his birthday, we were going to do the Go Zipline, the Go 8 Zipline thing at Leeds Castle. And I was like, wow, 25% off, not too bad. So a little bit about Twitter jargon, okay? So a tweet is a post, and that's what you put on there. And it's 280 characters. Originally, it was just 140 characters. Now, when I say character, that's a letter, a number, a punctuation, or a space. So the reason that it was originally that much space is because that was the average length of a text message at the time. It's now gone up to 280, and so you can say quite a lot in a tweet, as you have probably seen in the media, people tweeting things all the time. And you take a tweet and you put it out there, and somebody might see your tweet, and then they would retweet it. In the real world, if Paul said something and I said that again, Paul said blah, 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 blah. That would be repeating what Paul said. But on Twitter, it's retweeting. And of course, what we have followers on Twitter. So you might be over here with your little Twitter, and you have, and there are these other people on Twitter, and they might be following you. Okay. So the way I like to think about it is, here in the UK, we love to queue, do we not? We love to queue. Yes, we do. And so if we're in the queue, okay, and if I'm in the queue and I am behind someone, I am following that person, these people, okay? I don't know what we're in the queue for, but hopefully it's food or something delicious, right? Okay, so we're in the queue and I'm following these people, which means that if I'm following them, in my main news feed on Twitter, if they tweet something, it's going to come up there so that I can see it, okay? The people behind me are my followers. So when I tweet something, they will see it come up in their news feed. All right, so it's the following and the followers. Now, just because I have a follower, and if I'm following the Queen, and let's say that Lee is following me, okay, he's my follower. If the Queen tweets something, that doesn't necessarily mean that Lee is going to see it unless I take that tweet and retweet it, or if he is also following the Queen. Okay, so I'm not the Queen conduit. It doesn't mean that you're going to see everything that everybody sees. It's just what you're following. So you can tailor your news feed to something that is interesting to you. Okay. Setting up a Twitter account is incredibly easy because all you need to do is type in your email address. You can even do it on your phone with your phone number, and then bam, you have an account. It's very, very simple. And there are lots of different, they've changed the lay of the land on that one, lots of different things about your Twitter account. It's called your profile. So here we are on the real Twitter. Hopefully you'll be able to see, there we go, okay, great. And this is my profile, and everybody's profile on Twitter, okay, you have your name. Now I'm actually using mine as a business account. There's not much difference to the business and personal, but my name, American Tour Guide in London, and my @ symbol, @American LDN. So that's my official Twitter username. And that's really important because if you want to talk to somebody or shout out to somebody, you want to make sure you know their exact Twitter username. For example, you go into Pret and you buy a sandwich and you eat the sandwich and then you don't feel well. Okay, if you tweet, I just ate a sandwich at Pret-a-Manger Piccadilly, okay, well that might not be their actual thing. It might just be at Pret, which it is. And then you could, and now I'm very, very sick. And if you say the right Pret, then you'll get a response, and they will, basically they responded to me and they said they're very sorry, and they gave me a whole health report and a 25-pound card to get more sandwiches. So there you are. That's a real situation that's happened. So you have the profile. For example, this is the Glass Sellers Company profile that we have here. And each profile, okay, has a little biography, a bio there. So this one obviously tells me about the Glass Sellers of London, a little bit of who they are. It tells me their location. There's a little link to their website. That's always very handy. And it lets me know when they joined Twitter. So you guys joined in June of 2015. It also will tell you how many people you are following. So the Glass Sellers are following 656 accounts on Twitter, and they have 1,080 followers. And if you want to know who are the followers of the Glass Company, you can click on this and it will actually show you who they all are. And sometimes this is a great way for you to go through and be like, oh, I might want to follow that person. And if you do want to follow somebody, they make it so simple. All you have to do is click on this little button here. So now I am following Graphoidal. There we are. If you don't want to follow them anymore, you simply click again, unfollow. Do you want to unfollow? Yes, I do. So now I'm no longer following them. Okay. Now that was a really quick follow and unfollow. But basically what happens is, I'm just going to go back to the screen here. We have our home feed, and it's here on the home feed where if I am following someone, I'm going to see their tweets. So for example, I am following the City of London, and they have just recently tweeted this. I say recently, I know, because right here it says 2M. That was 2 minutes ago that they tweeted. Twitter is usually going to show you everything in chronological order. Okay, so you can see what is happening most recently. This is a tweet from Sport. And so what happens on Twitter is that you as a user can say, I'm interested in these subjects like sports, archaeology, history, some of the things that I'm interested in. And occasionally they'll show me a tweet that is related to that. I think I clicked sport recently because I was trying to keep up with the tennis at one point. And now it shows me things like football, which is a little irritating. I am following Ian Visits. And now Ian Visits, who is he? He's a sort of I'm sure you might have heard of Ian Visits. I always tell you things that are going on in London and whatnot. And you can see there's a blue tick by that person's name. If they are a verified account, which means that Twitter has said, oh yeah, that is definitely the account of that particular person or business, they will give them a blue tick. Now, if you are, let's see, let me just see if you guys are. Now, you do not have a blue tick. Never fear, don't worry. Not everybody has a blue tick yet, mainly because there's so many people that want to be verified. And at the beginning, they were only doing this for celebrities. And then they said, okay, $10,000, we'll get you a blue tick. And then they stopped selling it and they started doing it officially. And now they're just very inundated. So they've kind of halted the blue ticks at the moment. So never fear that you don't have a blue tick just yet. But these people got one early on, and so they have one. You can see BBC News has a blue tick, which is good, because then you know if it says BBC News and it doesn't have a blue tick, that might not be the real BBC account. So that's what the little blue tick means. I can see here, I'm on the home feed and scrolling down. And this is what people tend to do. They come to the home feed and they scroll and they see what tweets are being happening. Now, I will say this, ladies and gentlemen, we are live on Twitter right now. So I don't know what's going to pop up or whatever. So if anything inappropriate pops up, I'll make sure to try to get rid of that as soon as possible. So here we are. Now, I wanted to tell you about some Twitter basics. Now, the goal of Twitter is just two ways. One, as a user of Twitter, you have the ability to look at things and to see what's going on and to keep track of various things, or you can tweet something and it can be shared by people or seen by other people. And if that's what your goal is. But right now we're just going to look at the usability side of things. Okay. When you're looking at Twitter, one of the things that you have, I'll just click on home again. When you click on home, that kind of refreshes your screen and takes you back to kind of the beginning. On the left-hand side here, you have the menu. Up at the top in this little box is where you do your tweet itself, where you can type a tweet. This bit here that we've been scrolling in the middle, this section is where they have the tweets come in of people that you're following. And then over here on the side, you have a search bar. You can search within Twitter. So sometimes we search and we do a Google search, and that's searching all of the internet. So if we put in glass cellars, it's going to give us quite a lot of responses or results. We can search within Twitter and we can see glass cellars and anything that's related to that on Twitter. So it sort of cuts out the rest of the internet and just looks at the Twitter sphere. And then down below here, it says what's happening. And a lot of people come to Twitter to keep up with news, trending events, trending information, things that are going on. And we can see here, this is the what's happening section here. And there's a lot of stuff that pops up. So just going to break it down for you. I did a lovely slide earlier. Apologies, where are we? There we go. Right, so in the what's happening section, you'll get things like this one here, and it's kind of a long-tailed sentence. That's actually a news article. Okay, this one here just says Hyde Park, and this one just says Gillian Anderson. Okay, and that's a topic. All right, it says trending with Margaret Thatcher and hashtag the crown. So obviously, some of you may or may not know Gillian Anderson is going to play Margaret Thatcher in the next series of The Crown, and they've either just released an episode or a trailer or something like that. So everybody's talking about it. Another one here, news article, this one about Trump's finances. And then down here at the bottom, it says hashtag cancel the curfew. And that is a hashtag. So the big question that we get on Twitter every time I teach this is, what is a hashtag? So a hashtag is a piece of code in front of a word or words with no spaces, like that cancel the curfew, or hashtag freedom, hashtag COVID-19, hashtag glass cellars, everything. And that is a piece of code. And what it does is it links tweets that have that hashtag in them. So if you were to type out a tweet that said, I'm having pizza for dinner. Okay, I don't know why you would tweet that, but we're just going to go with a simple example. I am going to have pizza for dinner. Okay, who is going to see that? Well, people that are going to see that are the people that are following you. So if I have 100 people following me and I say, I'm having pizza for dinner, they're going to see that. Because every tweet is public. There is a way to put your tweets on private. I'm talking about the public account right now. And if anybody happens to stroll upon to my profile, they can look through and see all the tweets that I've done recently. Okay, so, you know, the pizza one. If I were to hashtag pizza, if I were to say, I'm having hashtag pizza tonight, in addition to all of my followers seeing that tweet, I would also be exposing my tweet to anyone who happened to be looking at hashtag pizza at that particular moment. At that moment, if not many people are looking at hashtag pizza, it's not a big deal. If it was trending and thousands of people were reading hashtag pizza and all the tweets that came up, then my tweet would come into that search. So I would get more exposure. Why is this important? Well, if you don't want your tweets to go very far, then that's fine. You don't have to use hashtags, but it is good to have tweets if you want them to get out further beyond and grow your audience. This is why we use hashtags. So here we have a basic tweet. This is made by Catherine Curzon at Madame Gilflirt. And it's a picture, it's a very nice picture, but there are no hashtags in there. So who's going to see this? Only her followers. That's all, her followers. And then if I just happen to, you know, go onto her profile and, you know, scroll down, I might see this tweet, okay? But if we, look at this one, okay, this is a hashtag. This is a tweet where they've put hashtags in there, okay? Hashtag election and hashtag marketeurs. Okay, so if hashtag election was a popular one and everybody's looking at it, and hashtag marketeurs. Now at the moment, election is really a popular hashtag because the US election is about to happen. And there's a lot of people talking about that. So the question here is this a very good use of hashtags? Not necessarily, because it might not be relevant to the election that everybody else is talking about. But the marketeurs thought it was a relevant hashtag. Hashtag marketeurs, again, you want to make sure that you choose your hashtags wisely to make sure that you're being exposed to the right audience. Okay, I just want to go back up here. So this is Catherine Curzon. I follow her, so I saw this tweet. Okay, but this one here, if you'll notice at the very top here, it says Red Bowler Tours retweeted. Okay, I don't follow Steve Plum, but I'm seeing his tweet because he has been retweeted. That's sharing, the ability to share a tweet to by Red Bowler Tours. Okay, so it's nice because with Twitter you're able to get exposure to things by two ways. Three ways really. One, people you're following, you see their tweets. Two, people you're following will retweet other people's content, and so you will see that. And then three, if you are interested in anything, certain hashtags, you're going to see things that are related to those hashtags. So there's quite a lot going on. I'm going to pause right now, see if there's any questions.
Bill's got a question for you.
Yes.
In that previous example, does hashtag marketeurs in any way modify hashtag election?
No, when you use a hashtag, it does not. Let me just go back to that example, apologies. When you use a hashtag, it doesn't change the hashtag at all. So if I go here to Twitter and I search hashtag elections, okay, and I look at the results that come up, when you do a search on Twitter, you get a couple of options: top, latest, people, photos, and videos. So the top tweet right now is this one, which again is about the US elections. If I click on latest, it's going to give me chronological order. And again, all of these tweets are pretty much related to the American election. So I would say that the one on the marketeurs, that might not have been the best hashtag to use. Now, if we look at marketeurs, which was the other hashtag that they used, okay, now again, every single tweet that comes up is going to include marketeurs. This is an ad, so we'll just See right here, it says promoted. That's a Kleenex ad. And then this one, marketers. It looks like at the moment, there's that tweet. It looks like they're the only ones really using that hashtag. If they let their members know, they let the delivery know, okay, everybody on Twitter, this is the hashtag that we use, and people just want to follow and search for that and see everything that's coming up. Or if the members themselves wish to use it, they could throw that into one of their tweets as well. At the moment, I'm not seeing them, nobody else is using that. So there you are. Great question.
Can I ask?
You could, can I follow up?
Sorry.
You could put hashtag election of Lord Mayor of London, all without spaces, and that would narrow it down to election of Lord Mayor of London, would it?
Correct. Election of Lord Mayor, for example. And there we are. It is being used, but the last time it was used was on October of 2019, election of Lord Mayor. Yes. And you would see all of the tweets that come up that have used that. Correct.
Can I ask a question? You showed, for example, the glass sellers, and it had over 1,000 followers, and they might be of interest to Paul to look through. How can Paul or any of us have the time to look through all these followers? I mean, the whole thing about Twitter, it seems to be overwhelming you with information.
It does overwhelm. My suggestion is to always think, okay, what's my objective? What do I want to do today? You know, what do I want to do right now? If I wanted to just see who was following the glass sellers, and if Paul was just going to look and see, he might click on the followers and go, who are our followers? He might decide, you know what, I want to follow back some of these followers. I want to engage with some of these followers. And if that's the case, then, you know, he might come through and you know, maybe do some following, click, 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 or he could click on, I was just trying to look for a, let's see. Okay, here we are. Friends of Bart's Heritage. Okay, so clicking on Friends of Bart's Heritage, and then he might scroll through and see what tweets they have recently done. Oh, okay, this one about archaeology of Bart's, the secrets behind, and then he might be interested in that. And if he thought that, you know, sometimes you just use Twitter as a place to mine information. You know, it could be that he's putting together the newsletter for the glass sellers and thinking, hey guys, if you're interested in any history or whatever, just saw that Friends of Bart's Heritage is doing has this thing you might want to read about the secrets of archaeology, you know, that kind of a thing. So sometimes you can just use it for mining information. Sometimes you might be using it to find.
Can I ask a question?
Yes.
What happens if you lose your voice?
I'm sorry, what do you mean? Huh? What do you mean?
You read all this on Twitter. It doesn't. It doesn't.
Forever Amber.
No, you won't get Amber talking to you all the time to answer a question. You have to look up on Twitter.
Oh.
He was thinking that you were there forever to answer all his questions, I think.
Oh, I wish I could be.
I think
Now,
Janet's got a question as well, Amber.
okay.
Yeah, thank you. Some time ago, Twitter were talking about adding something so that you could edit your post. If you posted something and then you think, oh, I've missed out something or I've misspelled something. And I've never seen anything about editing.
They haven't done it yet.
So I thought not.
Is the short answer. When you, yes, on one of the disadvantages to Twitter is that when you tweet something, it's gone, it's done. And so if you misspell something or you put the wrong link in there or something like that, basically you just need to delete it and then do it again, retweet it.
Yeah, that's what I do.
Yeah, unfortunately. And you know, the most famous one of this was President Trump writing covfefe, you know, he misspelled something, and, you know, nobody really knew, you know, the thing, it was something about, I forget the original tweet, something about blah, 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 of Kofefe, blah, blah, blah. And it was like, I don't know, was he saying coffee, conference, convention? Nobody really knew what he was, but he tweeted it. And he never deleted it. He never, you know, whatever. So everybody, it was like this big kind of hilarious movement and of, you know, whatever it was that he was talking about. But yeah, they can't edit a tweet. Unlike you, on the other social media platforms, you can edit your post. I apologize. Let me see if I can close that door. The neighborhood children are incredibly loud this time of day. Okay, thank you. Sorry about that.
Amber, can I ask something completely different? How does Twitter make the money?
Advertising.
Where are the adverts then?
I will show you one. So an advert will look like, I mean, I've got a good example one here. When you see a tweet, okay, at the bottom, you see the word promoted. That is what an advert will look like on Twitter. So if I click on, for example, home, I'm just going to refresh my screen here. And then as I scroll down in the middle here, like right there, Sainsbury's, and then bottom promoted. Now, if I were following Sainsbury, I might see this tweet, but instead I'm not following them, and promoted. So you can tell that is an ad.
So it would only be the people with huge followings that get advertisements in their Twitter.
No, anyone can post, can promote their tweet. That's what it's called. It's called promote a tweet. So for example, I posted this one yesterday, this tweet. I did a video of myself singing and looking at all of my, my tour guiding badges yesterday on International Tourism Day. So I have a little video there. And if I wanted to promote, first of all, I can view the activity. I can see, they show me how many times this was seen, which was only 59 times. Yesterday wasn't a big Twitter day, but it says reach a bigger audience. And then you can click here to get started, and you can promote, you can put in your credit card details, and then you can tell Twitter, I specifically want to target. And then you can say, you know, men or women, a certain age group, what they're interested in, and you can give them all that detail. And then they will push that tweet out, and it will say promoted, and you can reach a bigger audience. And it's not super expensive. You can set a budget of like, you know, £10, and then and promote a tweet.
Right.
When you are on, when you're on Twitter, remember I talked about your name being the @ symbol with the handle there. American LDN is mine, for example, and that's really important because you want to use the correct person's Twitter handle. Because when you talk to them, when you what's called mention, when you mention someone in a tweet, for example, I'll show you. Right here, okay. So these people, this is the poulterers, and they tweeted here, and they mentioned these names here. Now, presumably, they've got a picture here of a Zoom call, and these people were on the Zoom call. That's why they've been mentioned there. When you get mentioned on Twitter, you get over here a notification, and so it lets you know when someone is talking to you, when someone follows you. It's fantastic. So this one here, the glass sellers have tweeted, and they said, having a lesson on Twitter, #Twitter with Amber at American LDN. Really interesting. Thank you. Oh, how exciting. Now I can go look at that tweet, and I can interact with that. I can like it by clicking the like button. I can reply and saying, it is a pleasure to be with you today. And I can hit reply. Very fun. And yeah, and I could even retweet this and share it with my audience and let them know that you guys are happy to see me. Any other questions so far? You guys are doing great.
Is it, a quick one, is it normal practice for a personal Twitter account just to use @ in your name?
Yes, it's perfectly fine. This one here looks like he's just a personal person. He's a chef and owner of a club and a few other things. And he's just tweeted a massive thanks to this person and this person and this person. Yeah, you can, because you're just mentioning them. You're just it's like you're saying, hello to Sam and John and Nancy.
But when you're setting up your account, your Twitter name, he's called himself at Donostiask or something.
Yes, when you set up your profile, everyone has an at name, and you can just use your own personal name. So, you know, at Anne Reed, for example, she could use hers. When you click on edit your profile, this is where you edit all of the sort of the luxury stuff, like the picture and the biography, but it's actually in your settings and privacy that you go in here, and then you can change your username to be whatever you want. When you first open your account, it will kind of automatically assign you something, and then you can go and change it to something that might be more preferred to you. But everyone that's just kind of the standard of how every account is set up with an at symbol.
But it's perfectly reasonable to just call yourself, in my case, at Bill Cheshire.
Yeah. Absolutely. As long as there's not another Bill Cheshire. Okay, so if we do a search for Bill, is that the way you spell it, Bill?
No, it's CHESSHYRE.
HYRE? Well, there you go. You are available. So you can nab that name and no problem. If you had a very common name like Bill Brown, okay, there are a lot of Bill Browns out there. So what some people do is they get a little, you know, creative. They'll put numbers at the end, or sometimes they'll put a little underscore in the middle, in order to set themselves apart from someone else, for example.
There are no security implications of using your own proper name.
No, not really. No, as long as your password is nice and secure, you should be okay. Great question. Great question. Any others? All right, good. Moving on. Thank you. So I wanted to show you some of these examples. So we talked about this one. It's just a perfectly normal tweet, basic tweet, no additional things in it. Because sometimes we look at tweets and we're like, wow, there's a lot going on. I can't understand what am I seeing here, right? And like I said, this one here, you would think, why am I seeing Steve Plum? But I'm following Red Bowler Tours, and they retweeted this, so that's why I'm being exposed to that, okay? This is a retweet with a comment. So St. Bartholomew the Great, they saw that the founders had tweeted this tweet, and obviously it was at St. Bart's church, as we all know. It's beautiful in there. And so they retweeted this and then put a little message here saying, you know, this was our first COVID era livery service. So kind of neat. I think what would have been really interesting is if they had put like hashtag livery in there, because that might have, if some of the livery companies were monitoring hashtag livery, then they might have actually seen that and then gotten a few more retweets and that sort of thing. Speaking of a retweet, why is it important to, what's so important about a retweet? Well, let me give you this example here. So the quartermasters, they tweeted this tweet on September 27th. And they said, here's some trivia. And then they've mentioned at British Army and at Armed Med Services and all of these people. So these are all other Twitter accounts. We all know that because we were just talking about the @ symbol. And they tweeted this picture here. Now, the Quartermaster Devon, ACF, they only have 157 followers. So potentially this tweet would have only been seen by their 157 followers, and the people that were mentioned here would have got a notification to say, hey, you were mentioned in this tweet. But what's really cool is the Chelsea pensioners came along and they saw the tweet and they retweeted it. They have 17,900 followers. So this tweet was potentially seen by 157, that's these guys' followers, plus 17,900, which is these followers. So that's potentially seen by 18,057 people. And what's really cool is you look down here, this tweet was retweeted 6 times. So you can see how mentioning someone and getting retweeted by someone can really expand the visibility of your tweet. It can enhance it and amplify it. So while Quartermaster Devon, is only sitting at 157 followers at the moment, this tweet is getting some great exposure thanks to a little help from their friends. So retweeting is a really powerful tool. And one of the big questions I get asked is, why would somebody want to retweet me, or what can I do to get someone to retweet me? Well, the number one thing is to have good content. Okay, make sure that your content is of interest. Okay, that I'm gonna have pizza for dinner is not an interesting tweet. Nobody wants to retweet that. Okay, the second thing is to do mentions that are relevant, obviously, because you see here they've mentioned a whole bunch of relevant people. I don't know my badges very well, but I'm sure that there are some links between all of these in this particular picture. The third thing is to use hashtags to get it seen, but relevant hashtags to get it seen by a bigger audience as well. So those are the 3 things that you can do to get the tweet out there. And what this does is this helps you to get more followers, because if you have interesting content that is retweeted and seen by more people, people will see that and go, oh, wow, that's interesting. They click on your profile, they see you've got good stuff, and then they start to follow you. Or they see that you have interesting things that's relevant to them, and they start to follow you. So that is how this whole thing can work. Any questions so far? Doing good? Yes.
Yeah, quick one.
Please.
2, I noticed from this you can have an underscore in your handle.
Yes.
And also, are you going to tell us how you post photographs and videos in a tweet?
Doing that now, absolutely. Yes, you can have an underscore in your username if you wish. Some people do that to, like I said, to say, like you would say, I'm Bill _ Cheshire or whatever it is. And then we will now go on to tweeting. You have led me into the next section. So it's right here that we do the tweeting, or you can click on this little button over here that is tweet, and it pops up like this. And it says what's happening. This is where you get the 280 characters. And as I'm typing, as I type, what you can see is there's this tiny little wheel that's just here. So as I type, you can see the wheel is starting to fill up. So now I'm about halfway. So you don't have to do the counting to say this, 240 characters. It will do that for you. And as you get to the end, okay, it will turn red. It will highlight the text that, how many you've gone over, and it will let you know 8. So I would have to come back and then to 0, and then it would allow me to tweet. So you don't ever have to sit and count. And like I said, a character includes the spaces, the punctuation. So if I was just going to put a bunch of full stops there, punctuation, numbers, letters as well. So when we tweet, have a good Tuesday, okay? All you have to do is type in, and then you hit the tweet button, and then it goes. But gives you the ability to enhance your tweet, make it look really cool. So if you have, for example, this little smiley face, guess what these are? These are emojis. So you can type in little emojis to make your tweet look cute. Or you can click right here. It looks like a little mountain range. That is a photo. So you can click on photo, and then you can go to your photos and find one. Here we go. And then you add, that is how you can add your photo in there. And then you can tweet it and it will go live. And there it is, there's your tweet. If you don't like your tweet, you don't want it out there, you think, oh no, I've misspelled something, or I didn't want to add that photo, or whatever it is. You can't edit, but you can delete. Above all of your tweets, there's this little bitty arrow, this drop down here, and that is where you can click delete, and it will delete your tweet and go away. Now, if your photo has been up for 4 hours, okay, and it is a very unflattering photograph of yourself, and you think, oh no, you can't delete it from the people's minds who have already seen it, okay? And if you're a celebrity and you're getting out of a car and you're female and your skirt is too short and you have people took a picture of you and you know it's up there, obviously people might screen grab that and save that and then send it out. And so sometimes you can't control these things, but I don't think any of you are celebrities who are wearing short skirts and getting out of limousines inappropriately. But this is how sometimes celebrities, they get very embarrassed by photos that get posted out there and whatnot. But as long as it's been deleted quickly enough, like that one was only up for a few seconds, then you're fine. So let's say Paul was going to mention that the next event that's going to happen is a luncheon at the tavern, and everybody be there, and it's going to be on Tuesday the 14th of October. And he tweets that out, and then somebody calls and says, Paul, the 14th isn't on a Tuesday, it's the 16th. And he's like, oh no, he'll have to go and delete that and retweet it, or tweet again, I should say, not retweet it, but tweet again. And so there you are. So don't do that, Paul.
No, quite. Are you wanting to ask a question, Janet?
Please.
Yes. What is the maximum number of photos you can post at once? Is it 4? I think sometimes put more than 1.
It depends. If you want to, let's see, if I go with these, let's see, okay, that's 3.
Oh, yeah.
That's 3. And then, let me just find a few more. Here we go. All right, I'm just, whoop, doesn't want me to, there we go.
Oh, yeah, 4.
I think 4, yeah, 4 is what we've got right here. So
yeah.
That's, yeah.
And if I may come back, are you going to talk about multiple accounts? I manage 3.
Sure, absolutely.
Account.
I'll come back to that. I will.
Okay, thanks.
Another thing that people like to put on Twitter is these little things called GIFs, which everybody is very crazed about. So did you have a good Tuesday? And then I had a driving lesson. Okay. I don't have any photographic evidence of that, but I can go to GIF and then I can type in driving lesson, and I can find an image that maybe would go with my little tweet there. And there it is. So the GIFs, and they're just little bitty short clips, and they just kind of repeat over and over again with these little videos. And like I said, they're here, and they have sort of sections, you know, various things, or you can search. So if I looked for glass, for example, there's all, you know, a glass seller. Who knows what comes up with that? Oh, nope. Nothing really relevant, but there you are. Glass blowing is lovely, right? Let's see if there's some interesting glass blowing stuff. No, not really. I usually go for things like Shirley Temple and then find some cute things to put up on there, but there you have it. So still waiting for a reply. Excellent. Now, so the question that was asked is, can you manage more than one account? Yes, you can. So each Twitter account is opened by giving them your email address or your phone number. So one email address equals one Twitter account. So you can't have, let's say if you have your personal email address, your Yahoo account, you can't have multiple Twitter accounts on that one, connected to that one email address, but you could have your email, your Yahoo and your Hotmail and your Gmail account, and each one of those could have a different Twitter account. And it's over here at the bottom that you can add in an existing account just here. And then if you know the account login details, you know, for example, the, you know, whatever it is, you just type in the username of that account and the password, and then you can easily toggle between those two accounts. Now, normally I do manage other people's Twitter accounts. This is new for the website. This hasn't been an option for the website for until recently. On the app, on your phone, you can also toggle between the two different ones, or the 3 or 4, however many. I used to manage 6 at one time. So I would constantly be going in between the accounts, and that way you're not accidentally posting on the wrong one. So if you have your tennis club and the glass sellers and then your personal one, you can easily go in between the different accounts, and they don't mix, and they're not related at all. Hopefully that's.
I had 7 at one time.
Yeah, yeah. I had.
It was good when I was using public transport. Not so good when you're driving.
Exactly. It can be very, it's very time consuming, but it is quite nice to be able, especially if you've got to post on behalf of someone else, like I used to do, because I helped set up the church watchers, the Friends of the City churches. And so I would tweet for them, and then I tweet for the Camden Guides and the city and city guides and a few other, anyway, it was just kind of all over the place for a while. I've relinquished that for now. So one of the great things about the following and follower situation is that, like I said, you can follow people that you're interested in. So I'm following the Friends of City Churches. So the next time that they tweet, it will come into my newsfeed. But a lot of people, you know, they think that you have to follow someone just because they follow you. Don't be swayed by that. Don't fall into the peer pressure to think just because someone followed you, you have to follow them back, okay? Don't. I have 1,488 followers, but I'm not following them all back. I'm only following about 339. And I sometimes will go through, I'll click through here, and I'll actually unfollow certain people, because I'm like, well, I don't really need to follow them anymore. I teach a lot of classes at City Lit, a lot of social media classes. Sometimes I'm following clients or students, and then after a while I'll unfollow them after class is over because I don't need to follow them anymore. And it's great because it really does shave down my main feed here so that I'm only seeing what I'm interested in. Okay.
I think we're getting to mind-blowing time because there's an awful lot to take in there.
Oh, well, I'm open for questions now.
Let's see if anybody wants to ask any questions and go into any more detail. Bill, you got your hand up? You're muted.
Oh.
You're muted, Bill. That's it.
I'm unmuted. I didn't think I had put my hand up. Or I was going to make a facetious comment about the cue when you were teaching us about followers and following.
Yes, sir.
They were not socially distanced, and they weren't wearing face masks.
You are correct, sir. I have not edited this slide. This is a pre-COVID photograph. Yes, it is.
The other question I actually had was, is it possible to post a video or not? Just 4 photographs maximum?
Absolutely. You can post a video as well. There's 2 ways to do that. One, if I had the video on my computer, it would be the same method as posting the video, a photo. I would just click on the actual video itself, if that were a video, and then boom. That's one way. Another way is if I were to go to, let's say, YouTube, and click on the video itself, And then I can click up here at the link, the YouTube link, and copy that. And then in the tweet, I can say, my friend Rona, walks around Rona, gave this wonderful virtual, I go hashtag virtual tour. You see what I'm doing there? Virtual tour for at Glass Cellars recently. And then I would hit paste, and the YouTube link, see how it comes up there? And then there it is. So when I tweet this, there it is. Now, I have mentioned Rona, mentioned the Glass Cellars, hashtag virtual tour, and then that is the link to the video itself. And then by clicking on that, it automatically plays it right there. Yeah.
But presumably, if you want to post a video within your tweet, there's a limit on the size of it.
Yes, this takes me back to the days. So when Twitter first, a little bit of history, when Twitter first started, you could only post videos. And then because of the limited size of, only photos, then the limited size of video, they created something called Vine, which allowed for an 8-second video. However, I have seen people post longer videos now. I don't know the exact time limit, but yes, longer videos can be done now. I mean, and now even, you know, like on BBC, you can watch live via Twitter. They have a completely different setup, but yeah, you can do that. So there's a lot of there's more video functionality than when originally started.
But more flexible is to post a link, as you showed us earlier.
Well, what's great about posting the link is that that's getting your views up on YouTube. So that's a positive thing. Yeah.
I think.
Amanda, how do you see it on your computer? Or is it only on your phone?
What is?
Can you only have a Twitter account on your phone?
No, ma'am. What I'm showing you here is the website version. So this is the Twitter website, twitter.com. So you can see it on your laptop or your desktop, or the app on your phone. You can do that as well.
Right. So I can see it on my PC here.
Yes.
If I go to the website of Twitter.
Twitter.com.
I see. Okay, thank you.
You're welcome.
I think on that note, we might come to an end unless there's anybody else got a question, because it's quite a lot to take in.
It is.
How does everybody feel? Have they learned something today?
Yes.
Yeah, yes.
Definitely learned something.
Yes.
Could I just mention that if someone follows you and you don't want them to follow you, you can block them.
Yes, you can.
On a computer.
Absolutely. With people on Twitter, you can click on their profile, and there's a little ... just here, and you can block them, you can report them, you can mute them, which is always nice. So if you still want to follow them, maybe they're your friend, but they're tweeting way too much and you're just tired of seeing their tweets, you can mute them. That's nice. Blocking them, and then will mean that they won't find you on Twitter anymore, and you won't see them and they won't be following you. And then reporting is something you would reserve for if you saw something really inappropriate that you wanted to report. I should also say when you're following each other, when you're following each other, there's this wonderful envelope, which is the ability to private message. So I can now private message the Glass Cellars, and then they can respond, and then it's a private message between just the two of us. So I don't even need their email address. Excellent. Well, I hope that this has given you a bit of a taste for Twitter. If anything, you can, it used to be that you couldn't even go to twitter.com unless you had an account, but they have opened it. So you can just spend some time exploring, you know, click on the explore button, read some of the news and the articles that are coming up. What's great is you'll see a news article like this one. Sorry, it's about Trump. And then you can scroll through and it will tell you the different tweets that are related to it. This one is particularly all from the New York Times, but then you have other tweets that are also talking about it. So it's sometimes a really nice way to see what people are saying or what a particular news article is talking about at one time. So that's a nice thing to do.
That's fantastic. The master actually apologizes. He's had to go on to another meeting, so he's left us.
Pleasure.
I think on that note, what I'm going to say is, I think it's been really stimulating and interesting. And I think that if I get the right feedback, Amber, I'm going to ask whether you'll take us along sort of Facebook and possibly LinkedIn, because it all dovetails together and I'm sure people would be very interested.
Be happy to. LinkedIn, Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, TikTok, Pinterest, you name it,
Yeah.
happy to.
Well, I think it's almost time we all went and made a bit of supper and called it an evening, I think, and tried to digest all that you've said. We might even ask you to come back and ask a load more questions about Twitter, I think. You've opened up a can of worms.
Good. Well, I hope if I come back next time and everybody just has a how do you click here and how do you do that question, then that just means we have more active people on Twitter. And
I think that's fantastic. It really is.
Good.
And thank you so much. I'll be in touch with you in due course.
Okay, great.
I'll probably ring you tomorrow and we'll have a chat. But I think on that note, I think we'll say good night to everybody if that's all right.
Thank you, Amber, very much.
Good.
Pleasure to meet all of you.
Thank you so much.
Have a lovely evening.
Thank you,
Stay
Amber. That
safe,
was really
Good
everyone.
night. Good night.
Okay.
Thank you.
Bye for now.
Bye, Amber.
Bye.
Bye.